Stay tuned for another episode of the Coming Soon podcast with Spider.
Hello, everybody. Spider here once again. Coming Soon podcast, San Antonio, Texas, being joined by returning guests, Guerrilla Metropolitana. My man, how are you doing, sir?
All good, brother. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you for making time, man. I know we've been back and forth because of the time difference. You know, you are across the pond. I'm here in Texas, so of course, you know, we had to coordinate and make sure we're both available. But I'm glad we made it happen, man.
Yeah, I mean, at the end we made it, which is the most important thing. I mean, I mean, anytime really, I can do this interview even at 3 o'clock in the morning. It makes no difference to me.
No. But I appreciate your time, man. I mean, I truly, you know, I had you here before. Before you were here, we spoke about your film, Darius.
Yes.
Now, I bring that up because, of course, when you presented me that film, a lot of people were already saying you were pushing boundaries, that you were, you know, that artistic freedom that you were searching for. You were just, I mean, I want to say you weren't even at your peak yet, because, of course, we're here to speak about another project that you released, another film, and it's a lot more powerful. I mean, we talked a little bit about before we went live, and you know, some people are either enjoy it, love it, or they just don't want it, right? They hate it or whatever their thoughts are. But you know, I have you on here, man. I want you to talk about this freedom that you keep speaking about, bro, because of course, you know, you are expressing yourself through your art, and your art is filmmaking and getting your point across. So tell us about you and your search for cinematic freedom, brother.
Oh, first of all, thank you so much for this opportunity. And I wanted after Darius to really um, break the ultimate level of freedom. I think a point of no return, I think, is the best way to describe it. Um, to the point that, just to give you an example, I've been writing for months a series of drafts, which was the film. Um, and then when I actually was the day of shooting at the location, I have decided after a couple of scenes not to follow what was written on those pages of drafts, but to simply improvise and to go with the flow and to tell the actresses to go with the flow. And that was primarily because I wanted to disobey my own rules. I wanted to go against my own setting.
Right.
Um, and I think that level of freedom, it really equals to entering a dark room knowing that you have a number of people and you're going to have sex with them and you don't know who they are, what sex they are. And before you enter that room, you're going to think twice. And I made a decision, because this is my second and final film. I really did a bet, and it was like everything now, or never again. And because I'm planning to explore different fields like photography after filmmaking, I wanted to conclude my journey as a filmmaker with a film, which is this, which really broke all the boundaries and bring pornography, bring horror, but most importantly, bring experimentation
Yeah.
to the utmost level, where even the story, the plot, is secondary. In fact, the film doesn't follow an actual plot. It presents a plot in the beginning, then the rest is just a succession of sadistic sequences. And I think within those sequences, I was probably able to incorporate my idea of cinema, which is being wild and bring madness, bring insanity, bring perversion to the utmost level without following a plot, just letting the film go without almost without a direction, you
Right.
know, And I mean, once upon a time, a great filmmaker, William Friedkin, he said, "The movie god will take care of everything as you film your own stuff. The movie god will take over." And I think the movie god, during the making of this film, took over, and the result is there. Yeah, yeah.
With you saying that, because there's this thing that I always tell people, like when it comes to my podcast, I always tell people, once it's a review, it's interview, once it's out there, it doesn't belong to me. It belongs to everybody. So I don't want to say I don't worry about them, but it's just I can't control what people are gonna feel when they see it or hear it. So with you saying that, is that kind of the same thing? I mean, being that the movie got it belongs to him now, and it's okay. Whatever happens, happens. You did what you felt you had to. I mean, it's a masterpiece. You delivered it, and now it's out there, man. So of course, people are gonna give good and bad reviews, but at the end of the day, I personally don't. I don't know. People don't, nobody's commented on my episode or my podcast and said they don't like it. For the most part, people do enjoy it. But I always tell people, if people respond, I win, because if they like it, they'll say something great. If they don't like it, they'll say something bad. But I win because I want those hits. I want people to respond. I want people to be honest and say, man, you're not cutting it. You're not doing, but it's because, I'm going to take it for what it is, man. Constructive criticism, it's something that I enjoy doing. So as long as I'm happy doing this, I'm going to keep doing it.
Yes, I mean, I have to be honest. I mean, my relationship with critics
Yeah.
has always been kind of 50-50, because I do respect critics who praise a film. I do respect critics who dislike a film, but I don't respect critics who review a film with superficiality.
Yeah.
I mean, you can like or you can dislike a film, but please do it with a deep approach. Don't
Right.
just review a film and judge it harshly just because it contains sexual graphic violence or rape or pornography or whatever.
Right.
Don't be on the surface, go deep. Then you can say, I still don't like it.
Right.
That's
Right.
why with certain reviewers, in fact, even a couple of days ago, I had kind of argument with a film reviewer. I say, before you review it, please do it in depth. Don't just do it, on the surface. And he accused me of trying to be manipulative and try to control his review. And I say to him, "You're a fucking dickhead, because that's not what I told you. I say to you, you can dislike the film, but please don't do
Yeah.
it on a surface level." And that's why this film, I can see already, it's causing a lot of division.
Yeah.
Some people have called the film a masterclass of filmmaking, which, obviously it's a compliment. Um, but, others have called the film a disgrace, which is okay. I can take it. There's no problem. Um, I didn't make this film to please everybody. This is not a shock, schlock film
Yeah.
either. It's not a film that I made to impress the horror audience, because quite frankly, I don't give a shit about pleasing people. I made this film with the idea of breaking boundaries
Yeah.
for myself, first and foremost, not for the people, for myself. And then once the film was ready, then I presented to the people and said, "This is what I've done.
Right.
I hope you like it." And if you will like it, I'll be happy. If you will not like it, fine, I respect it.
Yeah.
But the film touches pornography, artistic freedom, sadism, because in my opinion, a filmmaker who wants to truly be free should go against the grain, should go against himself, without fear, without any restrictions. The moment you go like, hang on a minute, there's a red light there, I won't cross that line, I think you are an hypocrite. And I made a decision to go beyond any red light. And and I did it, I think. Yeah.
No, yeah, you see, and that's one good thing that you keep bringing up, because when it comes to creative freedom, I mean, there's a lot of times where I myself, I don't say what I'm thinking, because I already know I'm gonna upset people, man, and it's one of those things where I keep hearing from the younger generation that this is their world, this is their time. I mean, they're where I'm 50, but when it comes to how they speak, how they interpret older movies, they interpret signs. They're complaining about everything, but my answer to that is that it's still my world. I'm still here. I'm still alive. I mean, the way I grew up in the 80s, up into the 90s. I mean, it made me who I am. So a lot of the terminology that I use, people get offended. A lot of the things that I might joke around, people might get offended. So it's one of those things where I feel half the time I'm walking on eggshells. Yeah, and I
Yes.
shouldn't I shouldn't be feeling that. It's like
Yeah.
if I say a joke and people get offended by it, then I can't control that. They're gonna take it for what it is, and that's it.
I mean, I think the best way to I think the best way to describe this film from a subconscious standpoint is he incorporates my hatred towards politically correct mainstream
Yeah,
cinema. I'm not politically correct. I'm not mainstream. I'm a wild animal, and I like that sense of freedom. I like to be able to have a hard on set,
yeah,
and to tell my actresses keep touching yourself, so I can get harder and harder.
yeah,
And that might come across as politically incorrect these days,
right,
as sexist or whatever. And to be quite frankly, I don't give a shit, because this film was made with the intent of giving me that sense of freedom, which, the only way to achieve that was to have actresses
yeah,
ready to go down that road without any problem. And I think the young generation that we are talking about, the current generation, is very it's so open to various themes like equal opportunities, or LGTB or whatever. But then when you're showing a director having a hard on whilst filming his own actresses, and that is in the film,
yeah,
suddenly all that open mind approach becomes narrow mind approach, and then you get label of being a sexist, a misogynist, or whatever.
right,
I think deep inside this film is fuck you. um I'm gonna show everything I want, and if I want to have my actresses being violated in the film,
yeah,
and me being aroused in the film as a result of that, well, that's part of the artistic freedom that I want to expose.
right,
Not real, it's fake, but it's a message to all of you saying, I'm going to do it. And the reason why I'm going to do it is because I can do it.
right,
So in other words, I think the filmmaker has the authority to become almost godlike, because he's the one in charge of the film. If he's not in charge of the film, he's not a director, he's just a cameraman. And it's not the same thing.
No, and let me ask you, because when it comes to the cast, I mean, you mentioned both women that were involved in this film. I mean, of course, you guys had talked about this before. How long was it before you were able to make that cast stick? I mean, were both ladies like on board right away?
No, no, no. This film was a problem. This film was a huge problem from the start. I didn't have this problem with Darius, but I did have massive problems with this film casting. I had almost 200 female candidates. Some of them were fired for simply being worried about the sexual content.
Yeah.
Others were let go because their husbands threatened me. They sent me messages, death threat messages, saying, if you
Yeah.
cast my wife, I'm going to blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And other situations vary. At the end, after a year almost, I found the right cast with an actress, but then which was from the United States, but then she had issues with documents, and then she could not make it. She could not fly to England. And at the end, I chose as protagonist an actress, Juicy X, which was the protagonist of a short film I made, Corporate Torment. And then I chose as a co-star another actress, which chose not to be named, and she chose the alias of Mystery Woman.
Right.
Both actresses are mainstream actresses. Both actresses have an extensive career with the real names on television, plays, films, short films. And at the end, they decided to work with me on this film with aliases, with different names. They didn't want to be recognized, which I said, okay, no problem. I promise to you that nobody will track you down. In exchange, you're gonna give me all of yourselves.
Right.
And they say yes. Let's do it. So we made an agreement to go to this house for a weekend and to be wild. And that's what happened. We went wild. We went absolutely fucking wild, man.
And let me ask you, because when it came to the film Darius, you did mention that you had rented an Airbnb at that time, and of course they didn't know you guys were filming that. So on this one, was it the same?
With this film, we chose a location, which was a house in the outskirts of London. The owner of the house to this day doesn't know what we did with the house. So the whole situation with this film was different from Darius, because whilst Darius was shot in stages, and the actress, Il Argento, flew from Italy, everything was more structured. With the Benefactress, everything was in one weekend. So this was not the case of, okay, ladies, we're gonna see each other in 2 weeks' time, 3 weeks' time for the next shot. No, everything was going to be filmed in one weekend.
Yeah.
So the whole mindset was different. The actresses knew that everything was going to happen that weekend. So some of the sexual scenes are real in the film, between myself and the co-star, Mystery Woman. I did ask her, do you have an issue with that? And she say, no, let's do it. I say, okay, fine. The erections you see, the ejaculation, and some of the stuff that you see in the film is actually real, and some others is, are, faked.
Right.
But the whole film, the atmosphere is there. You can see it, you can sense it, you can smell it. It's there because Again, I made this film almost as if I had a terminal disease, with the idea I'm not going to continue. This is my last creation. So I want to give my best shot. I want to give all of myself and really get wild and let these ladies go wild also, because they will also not do anything like this in their mainstream
Right.
career. So this is a one-off experience for all of us, and that was my attitude, and that's exactly what happened.
No, no, for sure. And of course, I mean, we this is the film that we're talking about, the Benefactress. Now, you did send me the link, and I do appreciate that. I mean, I did sit down and, like you said, I mean, I cleared my mind, I cleared my thoughts, I watched it, I took it for what it was. And when you talk about cinematic freedom, I mean, I felt that. I said, okay, you know what? It was a movie. I mean, you saying that, when it came to some content, it was real, and you can sense that it was real. You can tell that a lot of this was okay. You know what? It wasn't. I don't want to say scripted, but it wasn't to where I mean, where you guys just kind of ran the film and finished the scenes. So of course, with them, their consent, with them saying okay, and they wanted to do this. You know, would it have changed anything? I mean, obviously, if they would have said no, like if one of them would have been like, okay, I don't want to do that, would you still have filmed it, or would it have
Well, obviously,
changed?
I mean, the reason why I mean I found myself in the house with them was because from months before they say yes.
Okay,
I made it very clear to both of them what was going to happen, what the film was like. Because obviously I don't want to force anybody,
right,
and that's why I ended up going through almost 200 candidates, because they say, many of them, I don't want to do it, and I say, okay, fine, fuck you, no
yeah,
problem. But with them, they say, okay, let's do it, providing that their identity was going to be protected, which is fair enough. They have, like I say, mainstream careers, both of them, and yeah, that was the agreement. So obviously they were extremely brave, extremely talented, because they were able to perform with the body language, with their facial expression, and to turn visual performances into an art form. This is not a film where the actresses are just moving. It's not a porno film.
right.
It's an art film. So, all the sadistic sequences, which clearly are fake. If it's not art, it's trash.
Yeah.
And that was the risk with this film. If it wasn't going to go in a certain direction, it was going to be a very trashy film.
Yeah.
Because you can't fake sadism. You either do it for real, or if you fake it, you have to fake it damn well.
Yeah.
You know, that's what happened.
No, and I gotta say too, because when earlier you spoke about them using their body language, because of course throughout the film, it's kind of like those silent films, like back in the day, in black and white. When you would watch them and you would watch the characters tell a story without even saying a word, and they still delivered it. At the end of the show, you're laughing, you're crying, and this film had that. You it had you hooked, it had you captivated the whole time you're looking, you're paying attention, you're looking at the body language, because obviously, there's no um, dialogue when it came to the actors, actresses. So, I mean, but yeah, it tells a story. You follow it through at the end, you guys accomplished what you wanted to. And like we said earlier, people are going to take it for what it is. If they sit down and they honestly, if they are honest with themselves and sit down and say, okay, you know what, I'm going to close my blinds, I'm just going to sit home quietly, watch this, they're going to understand. They're going to understand that this was art, and
Yeah,
there's only one way you can like explain what your story is, through art and through emotion, through everything that you guys accomplished. So, I mean, great job.
I mean, thank you. I mean, someone once said that somebody's trash is somebody else's masterpiece.
Yeah.
and I believe in that. I mean, the point is, it was really the equivalent of your last wish. If you have a last wish, what would you do? And I think that was the attitude of me with this film. I wanted to lock myself in this house for the weekend with these two mature middle-aged women, and go wild, and really go wild. And the result, like I say, it's the film itself. So the film doesn't really present itself with hypocrisy.
Right.
It's saying to you, this is me, this is the film. So it's a very brutal, honest, transgressive, and provocative film, because it shows freedom to violate, freedom to be aroused, freedom to film as these things occur, freedom to provoke the audience whilst they're watching this, stimulate the audience whilst watching this, make them feel uncomfortable as they watch this. All of that. Freedom to cause a reaction, freedom to, just freedom. So that's why the film, I think the title, The Benefactress, an exposure of cinematic freedom, is the perfect picture, the perfect image of this film. The title says everything. It is an exposure of cinematic freedom. It is not there to please, and it's not there to, to pretend to be something that it isn't.
Yeah.
It is an act of freedom, liberating and offensive to some. And again, I'm sorry if they find it offensive, and it's their problem. But it is an attempt to create art through freedom. Yes.
Right. No, yes, definitely. And let me say this, because on with Darius, I mean, you did get a U.S. distributor for that one,
Yes.
and with the Benefactress, you did get another U.S. distributor. So I'm gonna put there on there. I mean, the website is scrolling to the bottom, but Blood Pack Films are the people responsible for delivering this here in the U.S. But of course, it's online, so anybody can order it. But why do you think U.S. companies are the ones jumping on this? Is it something that
Because
we need?
for various reasons. First of all, US has the biggest market.
Yeah.
So that's the number one reason. Secondly, because of that, they tend to be, for the most part, more open-minded, contrary to the British market, which is very close-minded. Pretty fucking shit, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the worst European markets, the UK ones. Darius was bought by an American company,
Yeah.
SRS Cinema, and then a German company also for Europe,
Okay.
for visual films. And The Benefactress was presented to a couple of American companies first. They turned it down. Then I presented it to a UK company who called the film a disgrace. So I say, fuck you. And then I went back to United States, and Blood Pack Films, they saw the film and they loved it and they bought it. And Blood Pack Films is not even specialized
No.
just in horror.
Yeah.
They do everything: adventure, crime, horror, all kind of stuff. So they saw the film, they loved it, they bought the film, and it's now on DVD, physical media, Blu-ray, and soon streaming as well. So yeah, I mean, I was very happy to find a distributor, because I had more problems finding a distribution with this film that I had with Darius, because
Right.
whilst Darius was yes, experimental, but not as extreme as this. With The Benefactress, it was a different situation. It was much more challenging. But thankfully, I found one in Blood Pack Films. Bless them.
No, no. Well, I mean, glad they saw what you were trying to deliver, and they, obviously were interested, so they purchased the film, and now it's available, man. So for those that are watching this or going to be watching this later, I mean, this is somewhere where they can actually go and, like you said, buy physical media, DVD, Blu-ray. Now, when it comes to streaming, what is the date for that? Do you have that?
Well, it's not in place yet. It should go on streaming in a couple of months from now. There are a couple of platforms, but again, I'm one of those guys that until it happens, I'm not gonna say it. Surprisingly, my previous film, Darius, it's on Prime.
Yeah.
So which was a bit of a shock to me. Prime US, obviously not Prime UK.
Right.
Of course not. Um, but with the Benefactress, let's see what's going to happen. I mean, let's see what platform is going to accept it. I was lucky enough to have found distribution. The interesting thing is when I did present the film to, traditionally speaking, extreme horror companies, they looked away. They were not interested because for them it was too experimental. It was not gory. It was not, traditionally speaking, extreme horror.
Right.
Blood Pack Films, which is not even traditionally speaking horror, they were open-minded enough to say, we want this thing. So that is the very interesting thing. Extreme horror companies, they didn't want it. Non-traditional horror companies, they wanted it. Which was, yeah.
You see, and I mean, it happens. I mean, I don't know what's going on, but I mean, sometimes, like you said, I mean, let's see what ends up with this when it comes to streaming. We might both be shocked and might get picked up by somebody random. It's like, okay, but the thing is to get it out there, of course, to the people, those that are going to watch and appreciate it. Then yeah, the fact that how you said you went into this thinking this was your last film, that you mentally shut down to where it's like, okay, you know what, if I'm gonna be deceased, and this, let me go all out. So my question is, what's next?
Well, uh, I'm already exploring different areas, and one of them, the main one, is photography. So that's where I'm going now. Before filmmaking was music. Before music was erotic paintings, and now it's photography. So filmmaking, which is without doubt the most important artistic language I used, but still has a limited time. In other words, I don't want to be making 20 films. I
Right.
want to make a few films, but good ones. I want to preserve artistic purity with two films rather than making two films which are good and then slowly begin to repeat myself and dropping the standards, because that's what happens most of the times.
Right.
When you are a filmmaker, eventually you are going to repeat yourself, at least when you are an author of your own films, when you write your own films,
Yeah.
not just direct. Eventually you're going to repeat yourself. And I didn't want that. It's like committing suicide to preserve eternal age, so you don't get old. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm kind of committing cinematic suicide to preserve myself with these two films, Darius and The Benefactress. So I will be immortalized with these two films, for the good or bad.
No, well, I mean, that says a lot, because I mean, a lot of times it kind of reminds me of. I do dab a lot with combat sports, and a lot of times, fighters they fight too long. Some people say, like, man, they fight beyond their time, and they all they do is get beat up, and they lose that if they're a champion one year and they start losing, they lose that. They don't. Nobody remembers them for being a champion. Nobody remembers them for winning. And now they're, so yeah, it makes sense. I mean, for you to stop ahead of time, and you know what? I mean, jumping into photography. I mean, of course, you're still going to be, pushing that creativity. I'm sure. So when it comes to photos, I can only imagine what work is going to come out of you. From painting to music to, so yeah, I mean, that's great, man. I mean, it's not a good thing that you're going to stop making films, because I know that you still have a lot more, in you. But I mean, the fact that you're willing to stop on your own and say, okay, you know what, let me continue with something else, photography,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. I mean, it's to me, it's about quality, not quantity, my
Yeah,
friend. It's about quality. I mean, yeah. I could not tolerate the fact that that I made a film after this that drops in terms of standards compared to my previous ones. So yeah, and that's why this film is, to me, out of both. This is it, the ultimate one, if that makes sense.
no, it does.
The ultimate film, the ultimate creation of mine, the ultimate one. So this is the top.
Man, and let me ask you. I mean, when it comes to photography, because obviously you're doing photos now, right? So what is going to change? I mean, other than committing to it 100%. I mean, what's going to change with the photography?
With photography, to be able to capture, immortalize the things I see uh, when I take a picture of something. I'll give you an example. I mean, I am attracted by um, old railway sites,
Right.
old train station, old railways, derelicts. Always fascinated me to
Yeah.
see those places. I don't know why, but to be able to take a picture of a place like that, and to start changing colors, altering colors, creating additional shadows, and give another life to that picture that you just took, to that photograph you just took.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's like, if you, I mean, again, there was once a director who once said, if you take a picture of a stabbing wound
Yeah.
from very, very close, that image will look like something red.
Yeah.
But then if you move your camera away gradually,
Yeah.
then you see the same thing for what it is. So your perception of that changes. And the same with photography, the same with anything. If
Yeah.
you start personalizing um, something, eventually the public is going to see something of what you wanted them to see, if that makes sense, to
No, no, it
bring them
does.
into your world.
It's one of those things. I mean, I'm not myself. I'm not a professional photographer. I have a nice camera. I've got two of them. But when I would cover combat sports, I would be cage side, and I would get the shots of the guys in their corner and the refs, just the intensity in their look, man. And I used to capture those moments, in the dress, in the back, when they're getting ready, getting their hands wrapped. I would catch those moments. I would let everybody know, like, hey, I'm gonna be taking photos. Don't mind me. So everybody would know. I would have everybody's consent, but then I would just go around and I would just be sneaking photos. And after the fight, the day after, I would send it to the fighters, and they'd be like, "Man, that's." I mean, I captured moments. I captured them in deep thought in the zone, and it's like they were like, "Wow." They appreciated it, because it's like it's one of those things where if you wanted to describe it, you couldn't. But if you saw a photo, they'll see it. They're like, "Okay, they'll know what you mean," and a lot of them were pretty powerful. It's like, I mean, going into battle. I mean, of course, it's one of those things where people want to test themselves and go fight and compete, and not everybody wants to do it, but for those that do, it's like I was pretty fortunate to be able to do what I can and capture the images, man.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an art form, and
Yeah.
I've always been curious whether it's photography, music, painting, filmmaking, poetry,
Yeah.
um, really anything. If my heart is there, I'm gonna create.
Right.
I'm a creative guy. I never was. I never will be a technician. Um, I was not a technician when I was a musician, a drummer. In other words, I never went to drumming school. I learned how to drum uh, by myself.
Yeah.
So for filmmaking, the same thing. I never went to film school. I learned by myself.
Yeah.
And with photography or anything else, the same thing. I always been a self-taught guy.
Yeah.
Because it's just the way I am. And the same, when I will be older and I will be probably attracted to poetry or whatever, it would be the same thing. Yeah, man. I mean, I never believed that, going to schools to learn,
Yeah.
because, you already have it within yourself, the quality. So, you don't need to learn somewhere else stuff that you already have within yourself. You just
Yeah.
need to practice
No,
it.
yeah, I agree with that. I mean, there's stories out there with even with actors that say they dropped out of acting school and then they came to become A-listers, and it's like, who's to say you're not gonna make it? A lot of people have defined that. A lot of people have overcame other people's idea of, okay, you gotta walk this way, you gotta talk this way, you gotta and that's what creates art. I mean, that's what I love a lot about what I enjoy a lot about indie films is that it's not the same thing. I've been behind the scenes where seeing directors work, seeing how the actors like get into character, and I learn a lot. I learn a lot more from that than I know I would have done at school. So I'm back there studying. I'm looking at how they're doing it and how they're setting up, and it's cool. It's like a hands-on, and that's the way I am. I'm hands-on. I gotta have something and I gotta touch it and do something with it. And same thing with photography. My buddy was like, hey, I've always been the guy taking pictures with the digital. Before digital, we used to do like the little, you know, um, film,
Yeah, yeah,
developing and
yeah,
all that. And so I
yeah.
was always that guy. So when my buddy was like, hey, just get a good cameraman and we'll go take photos. And I was already involved in the sport, so I kind of understood the movement, how they. I was capturing great stuff, from the beginning, and people were like, "Damn, dude, those are good shots," And I was like, okay, I was able to do it. I didn't go to school. I had some of my stuff published in international magazines. I made a cover of a book here in Texas. I did like stuff that photographers that I knew that went to school were doing this professionally haven't done. So I'm like, okay, something's there. It's just a lot of times, school doesn't mean you're gonna make it, man.
But that's exactly the principle of experimenting,
Yeah,
which goes back to the freedom that we were talking about before. Um, you know, you were mentioning photography, that you were trying out, experimenting, and so on. I think that's the same principle when it comes down to any art form, at least for me.
yeah,
In other words, I could never be able, say, for example, you write a script and you present the script to me and you say, Gorilla, I would like you to make a film on this. Well, the chances are most likely 99% I won't be able to do it
yeah,
because I'm not one of those traditional filmmakers from film school that is able or willing or mentally capable of doing any project as long as
Right.
you pay them. I'm not one of them guys.
Right.
I am a type of guy that can only do his own stuff because his art is there.
Yeah.
Is it a limitation? Yes, it is, but it's also a virtue because that means whatever you create, it's special and nobody else can do it.
Right.
So, and it goes back to what you were saying. I mean, experimenting, trying out, um, almost like a teenager trying to smoke pot the first time, He doesn't need lessons,
Right.
He doesn't need a senior sitting down next to him and say, okay, this is what you do. No, he's going to do it himself, And, it's part of the experimental process, I guess. Yeah.
No, no, that just you reminded me of something my mother once told me when I was a kid, and I had gotten in trouble. But when I was home, this was like in high school, and she asked me to do something, and I was like, I don't know how to do it. And she was like, "Oh, but you know how to get in trouble. You didn't have to teach for me to teach you how to get in trouble, right?" And so I was like, "Okay, like but yeah, it makes sense. It's just and I think a lot of it too. Like, I mean, you keep repeating yourself when you talk about freedom, and it's true, man. I mean, if you want to be able to express just truly express yourself, you really have to let everything open, let everything go, and just go out there and create. So
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Yeah.
no, no, for sure, man. And of course, like we talked about, I mean, the film. This is your latest project, my man, the Benefactress. I mean, of course, cinematic freedom, man. It's right there in the cover, right there in the front, and it says a lot. I mean, for those that are gonna watch this, of course, like you said, I mean, it is available through Black Pack Films, everybody. So of course, go ahead and give them a follow, check it out, order. I mean, let them make their own mind. I mean, it's not going to be for everybody, but those that truly humble themselves and just really open their mind, they're going to appreciate it for what it is. So with that being said, man, I do appreciate you, brother. But I got to say this, bro. You jumped on here and I keep looking at that telephone, man. is that an actual working phone?
It does work.
All
Yes,
right.
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. And I had to ask because
I am obsessed with telephones. That's one of my obsession. I live in a 3-story house, and every room, apart from the bathroom,
yeah,
has one of these with different colors.
I have one
So
somewhere.
yeah, I'm obsessed with old school telephones. Yeah,
Man, I'm
it's
gonna have to send you a picture of the one I have because we've had it since we were like kids, and it belonged to my mother, so I kept it. She passed away unfortunately last year, and it's just I just kept it because it just reminds me of being on that phone all the time. Trying to call out. I mean, this is before cell phones, of course, so a
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
a lot of great stories, my man. But
Uh,
bro, I mean, what do you have to say for those that are going to be watching this video and wanting to actually, venture and order the latest, not just the manufacturers, but of course Darius, man.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, this film, it's there. It's there. I mean, after this, there's nothing else I can say. I mean, it would be the public, it would be the audience to decide what to make out of this. And yeah, this film is, as far as I'm concerned, my friend, it's my most important creation. So that's all I can say. The public will decide, if they can take it, if they can't take it. I'm the first one to say, don't watch it. Please do not even bother watching it if you're easily offended.
Oh yeah,
And yeah, I mean, but again, I don't know how to make films in a kind of commercial um, kind of mindset.
right.
I really don't know. So whatever I've done in my short career, these two films were made because out of you know artistic freedom,
Yeah.
not out of commercial aspirations. I didn't want to make films to be famous. I wanted to make films to express myself. I'm not a gold digger. I'm not after spotlights.
Yeah.
I'm not after that. I'm after expression, which is different. Yeah.
No, no.
Do I want my films to be recognized as something perhaps different? Yes, absolutely. But that doesn't mean that I personally want the spotlight on me. No, no.
No, no, for sure, man. Well, my man, I do appreciate you jumping on here. I mean, it's always a pleasure, even just talking to you via social media, which I'm sure we're going to be in touch. You know, looking
Yeah,
forward to
absolutely.
your next evolution and your next phase when it comes to photography. I'm looking forward to that. But I do thank you once again. You know, thank you for the creating this art for, you know, putting this freedom out there. You know, because I mean, people are going to watch this and they're, you know, maybe they themselves are going to want to actually tiptoe and express themselves a little bit more. You know, because like I said, a lot of people, you know, this politically correct world that we're living in, you know,
Yeah,
it's one of those, man. I mean, I do watch myself a lot when I talk, not just, I mean, I work in public, and it's not because I say anything vulgar or I say anything that's gonna but offend people, you know. But it's just because I'm know somebody's gonna get offended, and it's like, you know what, I'd rather not even go through all that, and I just, you know, stick to myself. And but yes, you know, I mean, definitely, you know, for those out there, go check out the film, support
yeah.
indie films. I mean, of course, Guerrilla Metropolitana, my man. It's been a pleasure. We will be in touch. Don't hang up yet, everybody out there. Of course, once again, Spider here, coming soon podcast as